Tuesday, LA real estate investors. I gotta get the name exactly right. We can't. LA County, Los Angeles County Real Estate Investor Association podcast. We do this every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time and 6 p.m. Eastern time. We live stream it onto YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, various social media. And this is a new format where we're not doing the Zoom call here. We are just doing the live stream onto YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. The idea being that it's a little easier to kind of consolidate in one place. We get a better video experience as well as a result. So that's what we're doing a little different. Hopefully we have a better quality product, better quality of video. Just, always trying to improve our systems and technology. I think in real estate, you have to always be trying to improve things. So that's what we're doing. And glad to have you on our call today. If you have questions, I see already we've got a first comment from somebody on Facebook. Very impressive. I agree with you. Feel free to put your comments there. We're going to watch them very closely. I see we have YouTube visitors and LinkedIn as well as the Facebook. So feel free to chime in there, ask questions about what we're doing and what we're, if you have questions that the guest is going to talk about. I'm waiting here shortly for a guest to pop in. I'm really excited because I just think different, again, also in the content, whereas in the past, it's always been somebody related to directly in the real estate investing field. I thought that I came across somebody who was very special, I thought, who, from a mindset point of view, and I was at a event that we host monthly for real estate agents, where we talk about how to do better, sell more houses as a team. We brought in really a very, very motivating coach who has an incredibly exciting personal story, Dr. Reggie Thomas. So hopefully he's going to join us here in a second. I'm going to go ahead and catch him our link just to make sure he has it. Again, this is new technology for us, so I appreciate you guys hang tight. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions, feel free to pop them in. It'd be a good time right now about real estate, about business in general, about life, about the meaning of life. And he's got two phone numbers, so I'm going to try to catch both of them. This is the dirty side of the business. On one hand, I want to go live. I'm excited to do it live. I think it makes it more interesting and the energy is better. On the flip side of it, coordinating with people and coordinating new technology can always be challenging. So, Dr. Reggie, there we go, link. Okay, so there he has it. And hopefully, there he is. Is that Dr. Reggie? Are you there? No? Okay. Well, here we are. I'm Bill Gross. I'm going to summarize the talk I saw. One thing I want to say is that when you go from one thing to another thing, that's transformation, right? I'm in real estate. I want to do more sales. That's growth or improvement. But when you go from 0 to 1, you're going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. That's called transformation. When you go from I've never had real estate before, I've never owned anything before, to having equity in a property, which is what the goal of most of us is. See, I'm on, hopefully, in the right Zoom. No, not Zoom. Here is the link. Hopefully, again, this is the first time we're doing this technology, and of course, and we send out preps and such. We try to get it right, but unfortunately, sometimes these things don't work out as well. So let me see if I can't figure out what's going on in the other. Host sign in. Technology, man. For those of you, there you go. So who's participants? No, I don't see anybody there. Okay, so that's not it. Good. Nobody's on the Zoom. Glad to hear that. There he is. There he is.
Hey, Bill.
Reggie, I did this. This is the first time that we've used this program Restream to bring the guest in directly. And the idea is when the guest are as good looking as you are, we want good video, high quality rather than low quality. And Jack Lapidus is saying, do I know we can't get into Zoom? Yeah, we know that. We're trying a different format today. We're doing it on YouTube and Facebook as our streams. And here is our guest, Reggie Thomas. Reggie, how you doing?
I'm great, man. Sorry about that. I connected on Zoom. So
It's not you.
some of us just aren't as smart as you are, Bill. So, when I grow up, I want to be just like you.
Well, if I was smarter, I would have got you on the restream when we started. So I know my version of your story because I saw you. I was very impressed. Took detailed notes. I'm looking at my notes and the picture I have of you. But let's start off with what's your background? How'd you get into personal performance coaching and sharing success with people in business in general?
Well, I've always been Bill, I've always been a public speaker. When I was in high school, I took an elective in speech, and my teacher thought I was really good at it. So that kind of built my confidence. And so I've always been drawn to just public speaking. But my life purpose is to invest in people, invest in leaders. And so to fast forward from there, the year of COVID, as you know, was an evaluation year for a lot of people. And I started evaluating my life and decided that, there's going to come a time when I'm going to expire and I don't want to leave anything on the table. One of the dreams that I've always had is starting my own business. So I started a company called Peak Potential, and it's a business consulting firm. And so it gives me the opportunity to consult with businesses around culture and people issues and leadership. I also do executive coaching. I do professional training, and and I do keynote speaking. So I get energized doing those things because I get a chance to invest in people and make their lives better.
So saw your presentation live when you came to an event we host monthly in Diamond
Hmm.
Bar. And I think the thing is there's a lot of coaching and a lot of it can be kind of nebulous and rah-rah, but I really felt because you shared it through the context of your development as a runner, as a marathon runner in your process, that you really broke it down to a very practical series of steps. And so I took some notes and I wanted to maybe walk you through. I'm sure it's your presentation, you know it pretty well. But I think really the truth is I want to relearn the material myself. I think one of the rules of my podcast is I only want to have people that I find interesting and want to learn from. So I know the first part that you said was that step one in preparing for the marathon or preparing for life or any effort was prepare. But you made a specific quote, which I just loved, which is marry the training.
Hmm.
What does that mean?
It means you have to be consistent. And if you've heard me speak before, I draw a lot of analogies from the marathon experience. And Bill, you cannot run a marathon unless you do the training. That means you have to be consistent. And I think when you talk about life goals, I think a lot of people miss their goals in life because it does require discipline and consistency. You have to stick with it. And the same is true in business. Business, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you have to stick with your goals and stick with your plan. You have to show up every day. You have to give your best every day. You have to give your very best. And so preparation involves having a plan, but it also means you have to stick with it and just be consistent.
Now, when you say marry the training, I was never a runner. That's not true. I used to run 5K and 10K races with my wife when we were young. I hated every minute of it. I cursed every second putting shoes on. I hated getting out in the morning. So to me, I wasn't married to it. I was just chained to it and hated it. But you say marry the training. What does that mean in a business context? Or another way to ask the question, you obviously love the process of training for marathons. The way you talk about it, you light up. I could talk about other things I do that are positive that I love as well. What do you mean by marry the training?
Well, when you if you want to use the marriage analogy, you marry someone whom you love, which means that there's going to be a commitment to it. I always tell people who don't run, don't do it if it's not a passion. And one of the things that I like to encourage people, especially young people, Bill, pursue a career that you love. Because if you love it, just like marriage, if you love a person, you're going to be committed to that person. And the same is true with life and business. If you do something that you love, you're going to be committed to it. And I think a part of being successful in life is knowing what your sweet spot is. I have a good friend who's also a keynote speaker. He uses the terminology Find your dominant place. And your dominant place is where it all comes together. It's your skills, your talents, your passions, your influence. And when you live in that dominant place or that sweet spot, you're going to be committed to it. There is also something to discipline, but I'm talking about something different than just doing something out of discipline. You do it out of a sense of passion, and that's what gets you up in the morning.
So obviously you feel that sense of passion regarding your marathon running, but I can't believe every moment of it is fun.
It's not.
So what do you do to get your mindset so that because your reaction is you smile when you just say the word marathon. What did you do that made that connection?
Well, the first thing that ever happened to me, Bill, was I ran my first marathon back in 2009. It was just a bucket list kind of goal. I wanted to do one just so that I could call myself a marathoner. What changed for me, and of course, as you know, a marathon is 26.2 miles, and about mile 18 to 20, it started to get hard. And I just kind of pushed myself through those last 6 miles. But something changed the moment I crossed that finish line, and you hear all these people cheering, you get your medal, and all of a sudden within you, there's that elated feeling of doing something that only less than 1% of the population has ever done. I thought, man, I want to do this again. And so that's how I became a lifelong runner. And so what gets me through the training is knowing that in order to achieve the goal, I have to do the process.
Yes, that's, I think, the key. I know for me personally, when you talk about marriage, and I don't know if I'm bursting anybody's bubble, but I've been married 36 years. It has been happily ever after every moment along the way.
34 for me, and my wife would say the same thing, Bill. Yeah.
But I have to say that when I get home my grandson, it makes a lot of those miserable days worthwhile because I stuck through and get the chance to hold my grandson. And in my case, my daughter's actually expecting a second grandchild. That makes a lot of tough things worth going through to say, this is what we do it for. And I think you put that with your marathon, and I think with business. So how do we marry the training from a business point of view? Obviously, you're telling us we need to find a way to enjoy the process. I don't think you're saying, just like you wouldn't say, like, I'm a swimmer, I love to swim. I don't run, but I swim. And so I might find swimming enjoyable where you might find a drudgery. Find the process that you love and marry it, whatever it is. How do you apply that to business, or how do you coach people on that from a business point of view?
Business is hard at times. You're not going to always be successful. I know in your field, I'm sure that you hear quite a few no's. And there are bumps in the road as you go through your business. There are hard times in it. And I think in those times, it just requires discipline. It's when the passion is not there, then the discipline kicks in. And to me, that comes over consistency. You've done this over and over and over. You know the ropes. You know what you have to do. You know that your clients are counting on you. And so just like on days that I don't feel like getting up and putting on my running shorts and my running shoes, I get out there and do it anyway. That's the same thing in business. You know that there are people counting on you. Your company is counting on you. Your family's counting on you to make a living. And so that's where that discipline kicks in. So it's a combination of passion and discipline. The passion may be there, but you may not always have that feeling, and so that's where discipline kicks in. And we get the discipline, I think, just by practice and by consistency, But yeah, with life and business, there are going to be those times where you just don't want to do it,
So a little housekeeping real quick, and we'll go into point 2. This is the official podcast for the Los Angeles County Real Estate Investors Association. And on the second Thursday every month, we have a free meeting in West Los Angeles. It's in the Culver City area. At the Iman Culture Center on Motor Avenue, kind of south of 10 Freeway on Motor. This month, we have You Go Girl, Meet Women Who Rock Real Estate. 2 good friends of mine, Deborah Razzo and Jen Maldonado, amongst the 4 that are going to be teaching and sharing what to do. And that starts at 6:30. There's free admissions, a free program. There's usually 250 people there, as well as about 50 vendors on one of them. Love to have you come, love to have you to participate. If you're a real estate agent here in Los Angeles on Thursday, I host Brew Real Estate, which is a networking event at the All Seasons Brewery on La Brea, just south of Wilshire. If you give me a card and you're a real estate agent, I'll give you a free beer. Show up. If you're a vendor, come and meet people, network. Love to have you join us for Brew Real Estate as well as that. Also, this call right now we're doing is meant to be educational. It's part of the LA County Real Estate Investors Association program. So it's designed for you to ask questions. Feel free to ask Reggie questions as it relates to mindset and changing your mentality, or either one of us regarding real estate or business in general. It's meant to be that way. If you're on the YouTube, I'm watching the comments. I'm glad to answer them live or in Facebook or on LinkedIn. Okay, you gave us 5 points at the last time that you spoke. Number one was prepare. Number two was pace yourself. And I found this interesting. You have to know your limits and you have to know your weaknesses. So I think I understand that from a running point of view or training point of view. How does that apply to business, knowing your weaknesses and knowing your limits?
All of us have strengths, and all of us have weaknesses. And I think it begins with self-awareness. You have to be aware of both. And I subscribe to the idea, Bill, that your weaknesses probably will never become a strong suit for you. And many of us, we spend a good part of our lives in business trying to improve our weaknesses. And the idea is not to improve your weaknesses, it's to manage those weaknesses. And what that means in business is that you hire people around you that have those skills that perhaps you don't have. You find other ways to get those things done, and you focus on the areas that you're strong. And that's why it's so important I think, to have a strong team around you. Before I was an entrepreneur, one of the things that I always did was I tried to hire people that had some skills that I did not have. And we worked great together as a team. And so when you spend your time trying to improve your weaknesses, you're not going to capitalize on your strengths, and you're not going to be successful and bring what you can to the table in the business world.
I think it's just like sports. You always want to play to your strengths. I know for me in business, when I was young, I could hustle people. I would go out later, work longer hours. As I'm both older, as well as maybe my life is more full, I don't play to that. I maybe empower other people to be successful in those areas and try to be more effective in the hours that I do work. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay, point three was focus on self-care.
Yes.
Now I get that. If I'm a runner, you got bunions, you need good socks, you need good shoes. But what does that mean from a business point of view? How do you focus on self-care in a business setting?
Well, I mentioned to you earlier, Bill, that one of the things that I do is one-on-one executive coaching, and in those are one-on-one relationships, one-on-one sessions where you deal with a combination of personal issues and professional issues. One of the biggest problems I see with business leaders is they don't take care of themselves. And that's for a variety of reasons. I think one reason is a lot of them have demanding jobs. They work 10, 12 hours a day. They work on weekends. They come home with work, and they do stuff in the night. Lot of it has to do with the environment of the workplace. Some of it has to do with personality. They're just driven individuals, and they don't take time to exercise. They don't take time to socialize. They don't take time for hobbies. And unfortunately, what that does, Bill, is it leads to chronic stress or even burnout. And I've personally gone through burnout a couple of times over my 35-year career. And listen, it's not any fun. And some people think that burnout happens as a result of being overworked. It's really not that. It's a mindset. And I think a lot of us in the professional world, we think that we have to give, because that demonstrates loyalty, it demonstrates commitment, it demonstrates dedication, but not to the degree of wearing yourself out. Because when you burn out and even experience distress in the professional world, you're not going to be any good to anybody. It's kind of like what they always say, this is worn out, but it's kind of like they talk about the mask on the airplane. Put the mask on yourself first, and then put the mask on your children. You have to take care of yourself if you're going to be a successful, effective, healthy professional. We're taking care of clients, we're taking care of customers, And we have to be healthy in order to do that. So I believe that every professional needs to take time for exercise, eat right, get plenty of sleep, have a social life outside of work, uh, engage in hobbies, do fun things. And one of the things that I believe I mentioned at the event that I spoke at where you attended was a lot of professionals brag about not ever taking vacations. I
Yeah.
think it's good to rest. I just ran the Boston Marathon 2 weeks ago, and I have not run since the marathon. Why? I'm in my recovery phase, and I'm going to recover, and then I'm going to go back to training, and I'm going to be healthier when I go back to training. And so what happens is if you go back to training too soon after running a marathon, you're going to get injured. So that recovery time is important. In the business world, whatever your field is, you need time for recovery. Take your weekends, take those vacations, take that time off, take time to refresh and renew yourself. And you're going to be much better at performing if you don't do that.
Reggie, I've been in my recovery mode from running for about 30 years now. I think I'm taking off enough, but we'll see.
So you don't feel sorry for me for my 2 week recovery. Yeah, you get
No,
me.
but I swim regularly, and I know when I'm forced to take off, maybe for vacation or for I haven't been sick very often. But years ago, one time I was cold, had a cold for about 8 or 9 days. It was kind of a nagging thing, and I just hated it because, when you get into the mode, you want to work out regularly, and I miss that endorphin rush. Great question from Matthew Price, who's kind of a regular on our show. He says, how would you build a new team when the market changes, which may mean that your strong points are no longer in focus, right? So there's two questions there. Is really one is, how do you change your strategy in the face of a changing market? And then second, once you change your strategy, how do you leverage that by building new team members to help you grow in that area?
One of the things that works for new team members, I believe, is coaching. When you coach a person, you can instill values, you can instill the kind of culture that you want to build, you can instill in them what the goals are. I think coaching, one thing that I also recommend for leaders of teams, leaders of organization, is professional development training. Professional development training is essential because it demonstrates to the employee that you want to invest in them. And then secondly, it gives you an opportunity to teach them new skills and apply new skills in what you're asking them to do. And so I think one of the things that we often miss in hiring new team members, new teams, is that development aspect. We often just kind of throw people into work and into jobs, and we don't invest in them. So I think through coaching and through professional development training. And here's the thing, people like myself who are professional coaches, I think we are critical to helping business leaders and team members grow in their professional skills. But even as a supervisor, I think one of your roles as a supervisor is to be a coach. When I was working, in other organizations where I was a senior leader or upper level manager, I met with my team members every week, one-on-one. And it was not just to go over reports, and it wasn't just to review goals. We did all that, but I used it as an opportunity to coach them and to nurture them. And so that's how you do it. It requires intentionality, it requires work, and it requires that personal connection with your team. You have to spend time with them. You have to invest in them. I was talking to a employee the other day. They had just started a brand new job, and they said, Reggie, I have not talked to my new supervisor in 2 weeks. And that's bad. And so I think it's critical when creating a new team and you're trying to build a certain culture, you have to spend time with them in coaching. So you don't actually have to hire a professional coach like myself. I think that is important. But as a supervisor, as a manager, I think that's one of your responsibilities as a supervisor is to provide coaching to your team members.
So point one was prepare. Point two was pace yourself. Three was focus on self-care. Number four was be flexible and make adjustments. And you said something, a quote I wrote down that you said was, some people grow bitter, others grow better. What does that mean?
Well, adversity in life can make you do two things. I mean, you can embrace it. And two questions that I always ask people when they go through adversity is, what can I learn from this experience? And then the second question is, how can I grow from this experience? there's no experience that's wasted in life. Every experience has a purpose. Unfortunately, some people, when they face adversity, they give up. They get bitter. They play the pity party. But other people use it as an opportunity to grow and learn.
Yeah.
And I can share a number of marathon experiences where that has happened, where you set a goal and something happens in the middle of the race, you start to cramp up, or you hit the wall, or you slow down, something starts to hurt, and you have to adjust. You have to adjust your time goal, and it requires flexibility. And the same is true in life. Things don't always go as planned, so you have to have a contingency plan.
I think as Mike Tyson famously said, everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face. And I think in real estate, that's so true, that there's a mistaken idea that transactions are supposed to go smooth and easy. And particularly in real estate investing, I would say my experience is the opposite, that we get paid to solve problems. If it was simple and easy, everybody would just write a check and get the money.
Right.
The key is to learn how to avoid problems and mistakes, but then when they come up, to deal with them effectively and efficiently. And if you don't have that ability, find somebody who you can lean on who does.
Right.
So grow better, not better, and be flexible. I love that one. And the fifth point you made was success requires a strong team. You can't do it on your own. Now, I don't think you're saying necessarily you have to hire a team of subordinates or pay people necessarily, but at minimum, you'd be part of a team. I know you shared how in your marathon, you're part of a group or colleagues or something of that effect. And that's what I try to create on this call, to be honest, is there are people starting out, they want to learn how to invest in real estate, they want to play the game. Love to have you be part of our team and have you part of our community. Describe for me how important that is in both your marathon training and running, and then also in business.
You know, often people talk about running as an individual sport. And what they really mean, Bill, is you run alone. You have your own individual goals. No one can run that for you. But really good runners, they train in community. For example, I'm a part of a running club here in Chino Hills, California, called the Inland Empire Running Club. There are about 200 of us. We meet on Saturdays. Some of us meet up during the week. But there's something about running with a group, even though the group that you're running with, even though they may have a different goal you have in terms of races that they're running or times they want to run, it's just so fun to run together. It gives you energy. To be honest with you, typically, if I feel like not running, it's usually when I have to go out and run alone.
Right.
But no matter how I'm feeling, if I know I'm going to be running with a group of friends, I can't wait to get out there, because it then becomes social as well as athletic. So in the business world, I think the same is true. Some of the listeners today, they may be solo entrepreneurs. They don't have a staff, they don't have a team, but it's important to network. I'm a part of the Chino Hills or Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. I'm a part of the Rotary Club. I'm a part of Team Referral Network. And what that does is it gives me a group of like-minded business people that I can learn from, bounce things off of. They give me referrals. They show me some of my blind spots, things that I need to learn. I wouldn't get that if I just sat in my office all the time and just work alone. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a team around you that are, quote, employees. You just have to have a community of networks of people that you collaborate with. You need collaborators in different fields and different areas. And so it's important to network. It really is. And it just makes being in business so much easier.
You know, when people want to start real estate, I'm not selling any program. I'm not a real estate coach as such, and that I don't take in students as new people. I'm glad to help answer questions. But I tell people you have to find three things. You need to find a leader or coach. They need to have a process or a system or methodology that you can follow. And third is you need to be part of a team or a group. And so I hope this call weekly is a supplement to whatever that is for you. I think that coming to the LARIC event a week from Thursday should be part of that. You should find maybe your team and your coach and their events, and then use this as a supplemental way to connect with people. I think it's really important, and I'm glad. And I know, Reggie, I know you jumped in here to offer that to people, so I really appreciate you supporting us in that area. Again, just some real quick housekeeping. We're about 3 minutes into the call now. This is being live streamed on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm watching the comments there. If you have questions, feel free to post them. We'll catch them and answer them live. If you're watching this on recording after the fact, we'll catch up with you afterwards on those as well. I want to make sure that you guys all know that a week from Thursday, we our I guess I would say sponsor or our group that we're involved with is the LA County Real Estate Investors Association. The website's LAREIC. But we have our monthly event the second Thursday of the month. We got about 250 people. And this month is going to be You Go Girl. I'm a guy, so I'm still going to go check all the pretty girls. Women in real estate, women that rock. And two of my good friends of mine, Deborah Razzo, fantastic real estate flipper. And she founded the Women's Real Estate Network, talk about networking and building a team. And then Jen Maldonado is capital raising on multifamily. Fantastic, two very successful ladies. These other two, I assume they're as good as well. Haven't met either one of them personally, but four ladies on that. And then more importantly, a chance for you to come. Somewhere I have a picture of the, well, I guess I don't. Anyhow, we have about 50 vendors and one of them that you can visit with. They're professionals to learn about the business, to meet people, to help you on your truck. I know personally I met my insurance agent there. Gosh, I'm scrolling for this picture. I'm just not going to find it, I guess. There's a video of it right there. But basically, it's a chance for you to meet vendors that can help you, insurance agents. I used a vendor there that did hazmat removal. I have a listing that I couldn't sell, but I needed somebody to go in and remove certain hazardous materials, and we got that done. And so it's a great place to meet people, legal services, accounting, and my accounting company, Robert Hall & Associates. I met them there. They do a great job for my taxes every year and save me a fortune. So come, that's the second Thursday of the month. Next Thursday, which is May 11th, 6:30. It's free. Love to see you there. Come up and say hi. Okay, so I think the last question I have for you, and then if anybody else has a question, jump in. How do you navigate from a business point of view if you watch the news, if you ever turn it on, or you accidentally bump into it or cross over it or hit a web browser and you're exposed to it, it's always negative. Like me personally, I took a listing. I got it signed technically on Sunday, a new listing this week. I got another listing I just put into escrow they've had for about 5 weeks or so. So my business is continuing. If I didn't know what's happening in the world, I would just say, it's another week in real estate. I know that people on there struggling and other people are suffering, but I also know there are people like me who are doing pretty well despite all that. How do you help people keep their head in the game? Because whether or not the market's going up or down, you got to do your business. You got to get some sales or get some deals or whatever it is. How do you help people keep their head in the game when it seems to be difficult?
One of the things, Bill, that I teach people, first of all, there's the reality that there are going to be ups and downs in business. And while we don't want to live in the past, one of the things that I share with people and I try to practice in my own life is celebrate your past successes. And when you celebrate your past successes, that does two things. Number one, it reminds you of the fact that you have experienced successes, but you also get to see a kind of an up and down trajectory that in between those successful times, you had some down times. And so what that does is it gives you hope that it will and can get better. So the first thing you have to do is you have to celebrate your successes. So don't live in the past and, don't subscribe to the theory that you're only as good as your past success or your last deal or whatever the case may be. Keep those things in focus. Okay. That helps you to stay focused on success and positivity and a healthy mindset. The other thing that I do is I share with people, take control of what you can control. Okay. There are certain things that you ought to be doing to change that trajectory. And so while you may not be able to control some external things, take control of what you can control. And then the third thing that I always share with people is understand that you can change those neural pathways in your brain. You can retrain the brain to be positive. And so I teach people to use positive mantras, do meditation, and then again, make sure that you have a variety of things in your life. I think one of the things that I often see in professionals is we define our lives only by what we do professionally. So you have to have other things in life. In my doctoral program, I had a professor that introduced this concept called faceting. and it's a jewelry terminology. If you go into a jewelry store, what you're going to find is some diamonds are going to pop. They're going to really be shiny. And what that means is there are more cuts on that particular diamond. The 3 or 4 C's of diamonds. One is cut. And the more cuts a diamond has, the more it's going to sparkle. And the same is true in your personal life and in your business life. The more aspects you have to your life, the more healthy you're going to be, the more secure you're going to be, the more positive you're going to be. So don't get into this rut of only being defined by what you do professionally. There's so much more to you than just what you do professionally. Wow. And, often when you ask people, tell me about yourself, where do they usually go?
The business.
Start with a professional.
Yeah.
And so define yourself by who you are, not by what you do. So learn to facet your life, have different varieties to your life, different aspects to your life. And that way, when the business is not doing as well, you have other things to define your success by.
It's interesting you say that, because on one hand, in part of my personal life, I'm having some tremendous challenges that are just almost debilitating. They're so challenging. My wife is going through tremendous health issues right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And at the same time, my business is going well. At the same time, my grandson's growing. At the same time, my daughter's pregnant with our next grandchild. And so I feel like, and then I have other things in my life, social life and political life and religious community, that, it's helped pull me through this difficult area. Because if I was just a husband or just in business and a husband, I couldn't be there for my wife. But because I have these other areas of doing well, I'm energized and I'm active, and that's pulling me forward to give me, I think, more capacity to be a husband when she needs me, not less, maybe a little bit less time, but more energy and drive and direction. So that's really right. Look, Reggie, you've been very generous for your time. I enjoyed when you spoke in person at Diamond Bar. We were very lucky to have you then. And if someone wants to get a hold of you more, I know Peak Potential, Peake Potential. I don't know if you've missed your grammar check there, or that's a fancy spelling there, Reggie. I don't know. I'm a simple guy from La Habra, California. But I also know you have a book and you have other speaking engagements. So what's the best way to keep in touch with you? Is there social media connections or calling you, or what's the best way to get some more Dr. Reggie Thomas if they're interested?
There are different ways to reach me. Obviously, you're showing my website there. That's peakpotential.com. My telephone number is on my business card and also on the website. You can reach me by telephone. My email is also on the website. I'm very active on LinkedIn. It's Dr. Reggie Thomas. You found it. Man, you're good. You're so good. And
I've done this before, Reggie.
You are good, man. I'm impressed that you can multitask that way,
Thanks.
And also, I'm very active on Facebook and Instagram as well. So I'm pretty active on social media.
Got it.
Hear from some of you.
Well, look, I know you're active. You have different events and books and signings and stuff, and following you on social media as far as your Boston Marathon. Congratulations on your recent trip. And thank you so much for sharing with us again. I really appreciate your time, and in the past, I appreciate getting a chance to revisit with you. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me on the show, Bill.
And for the rest of you, I'm Bill Gross. This is our weekly Los Angeles County Real Estate Investors Association podcast. This is the first time we've done it this way, where we, instead of a Zoom call, we broadcast it live stream to YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Love to have you participate there, comments, questions, or whatever. Our live event is the second Thursday of every month. So it'll be a week from this coming Thursday. And it's a live event at the Island Cultural Center on Motor Avenue, just south of the 10 freeway in West Los Angeles. We call that kind of Culver City-ish area. And we have some great speakers this month coming up. I just scrolled right past them. Where are they? Here they are. And love to have you join. It's a free event. About 250 people will be there. 50 vendors like me will have booths and such to share with you. And we have these great speakers, Deborah Razzo, a friend of mine, Jim Maldonado, as well as Courtney Jones and Cindy Coleman. So hope we can see you there. If not, come here every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern. We record this and live stream it on my YouTube channel at Bill Gross EXP. Thank you for participating, you guys. Make it a great week. We'll see you soon.